The stars stretched across the sky like diamonds scattered on black velvet, and among them Kieran's small scout ship glided silently. He had been wandering the edge of explored space for years, mapping new planets and observing the strange worlds humanity had yet to understand. Yet despite all the wonders he had seen, the floating forests of Iridia, the crystalline oceans of Allura, the singing deserts of Norel, he always felt a pull toward one place he had never known. Something about a signal he had intercepted weeks ago kept tugging at his mind. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it carried a name he knew only in fragments. Lyra. The name repeated in his thoughts, like a melody half-remembered. He did not know why, but hearing it stirred feelings he could not explain. Lyra, the Princess of Alaris. That was all he had gathered from scattered records of alien transmissions, but it was enough to guide him. He adjusted the ship's course, and the pale green planet of Alaris grew larger in his viewport, a swirl of clouds and oceans with faint golden forests shining through. Landing was smoother than expected. Kieran had always trusted his instincts in piloting, and now, as the ship's feet touched the soft soil of Alaris, he felt a strange sense of belonging. The planet's atmosphere wrapped around him like a warm cloak, and every breath he took seemed to hum with life. It was quiet, but the quiet carried a presence, a gentle awareness. Something on this world seemed to know him. He stepped onto the ground and let his boots sink slightly into the soft, mossy terrain. The air smelled of flowers he could not name, sweet and unfamiliar, yet soothing. Kieran had always loved the unknown, but this was different. This planet whispered promises he did not yet understand. He adjusted the straps of his backpack, his eyes drawn to a structure in the distance, a palace perched on a hill, its towers gleaming faintly under the twin moons of Alaris. Inside the palace, Princess Lyra stood in her private chamber staring out at the horizon. Her hair shimmered like silver threads, and her eyes reflected the soft glow of the moons. She had heard many names in her life, names of rulers, travelers, and diplomats, but when the signal reached her palace weeks ago and the human name Kieran came through, something inside her quivered. She had not seen him in what felt like a lifetime, yet his presence lingered in her heart like a distant song. When the palace gates opened and Kieran appeared on the path below, Lyra felt a jolt she could not explain. She knew him before she had seen him. She stepped down from the balcony, her hands trembling slightly, and when Kieran looked up, their eyes met. For a moment the world seemed to pause. He was real. She wept, silently, hiding the tears behind her hands. The emotions were sudden and confusing, a mix of joy, relief, and something deeper she could not yet name. Kieran noticed her from the moment he set foot on the palace grounds. She was unlike any being he had encountered in his travels. There was a light around her, not just from the moons, but from within. And yet, the sadness in her eyes tugged at him. It was as if she had been waiting for him all these years, and the waiting had been painful. He wanted to speak, to ask her name, but no words came. Something about her presence commanded silence, respect, and awe. Lyra descended the palace steps, her flowing robes brushing the stones beneath her feet. She stopped a few meters from Kieran, her gaze steady, yet unsure. "You," she whispered, her voice catching. "It really is you." Kieran nodded slowly. I don't understand. Why do you know me?" His own voice sounded strange to his ears, heavy with unasked questions. Lyra shook her head, as if trying to dislodge a foggy memory. "I don't fully remember," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But there is something between us, something important, something I cannot forget, even if I try." The moment was delicate, fragile, yet powerful. Kieran felt a warmth spread through him. There was no fear here, no threat, only a gentle pull, a connection he could feel deep in his chest. He had explored countless worlds, met dozens of civilizations, yet nothing had ever touched him like this. Lyra's presence made the air itself feel alive, charged with unspoken meaning. She offered him her hand, a simple gesture of trust. He took it, and for the first time in years, he felt a sense of home. They walked together along the palace gardens, where plants glowed faintly under the twin moons. Flowers bent as if to acknowledge their steps, and the gentle rustle of leaves whispered secrets in a language Kieran could almost understand. The gardens were unlike anything he had ever seen: trees with silver bark, rivers of liquid light, and flowers that shimmered with colors that seemed impossible. Lyra led him to a small stone bench beside a reflecting pool. The water mirrored the stars above, and Kieran saw his own reflection. But it was different. In the pool he saw not just himself, but a faint image of a memory he could not place. A past he had not lived in this lifetime, yet felt familiar. Lyra noticed his gaze and sat beside him, her eyes on the same reflection. "You see it too," she said softly. Kieran nodded. I think I do, but I don't understand it." "It is a memory," Lyra explained, her fingers tracing patterns in the water. "A memory of a time long ago, before you came to my world, before the stars brought you here. You were part of something important. I can feel it, though I cannot name it yet." They sat in silence for a while, the pool reflecting their faces and the twin moons above. Kieran felt a strange peace he had never known. For years he had wandered the stars alone, mapping, exploring, searching for purpose. Now, on this gentle planet, he felt the first stirrings of belonging. The connection he shared with Lyra was mysterious, yet undeniable. Lyra finally spoke again, her voice steady but soft. "There is a secret between us, Kieran. A secret I cannot fully remember, but I know it matters. I know it is why you came here, why the stars guided you to Alaris. You are not just a visitor. You are part of something I have waited for." Kieran felt a shiver run down his spine. He did not know what the secret was, but he could feel its weight, its importance. It was not dangerous. It was sacred, something to be honored and protected. And for the first time in his life, he felt that his journey had meaning beyond exploration and discovery. As the moons rose higher in the sky, Lyra rose from the bench and extended her hand to Kieran once more. "Come," she said. "There is so much I want to show you. The palace, the gardens, the history of my people. Perhaps in learning about them, we will remember our secret."
Kieran took her hand, and together they walked through the glowing gardens.
The flowers seemed to lean closer, the trees whispered in the wind, and the planet itself seemed to welcome him home. As they moved beneath the shimmering light of the twin moons, Kieran realized that this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, full of wonders and mysteries. Yet here, on this quiet green planet, he had found a connection that surpassed all of it. He had found a friend, a guide, and perhaps something even more profound, a link across time and memory, a secret that bound him to Lyra in ways he had yet to understand. And somewhere deep in the palace, a small music box played a soft, haunting tune, a melody Kieran had never heard, yet one that stirred something deep inside him. Lyra smiled faintly, as if she recognized it. "This melody, it is ours," she said softly, more to herself than to him. "It always was." Kieran looked at her, puzzled but not questioning. He felt the truth of her words in his chest. He did not know how it was theirs, or why, but he understood that the journey ahead would reveal it. And for the first time, Kieran did not fear the unknown. He had a companion, a guide, a part of himself he had never known he was missing. The night deepened, the stars shimmered above, and the gentle hum of Alaris filled the air. Kieran knew that tomorrow would bring answers, and perhaps more questions, but for now he allowed himself to feel something he had long forgotten. Hope. He was home, though he had never known this place before. And Lyra was with him, her hand in his, her tears now replaced by quiet wonder. Together they would uncover the secret that connected them, a secret that spanned worlds, lifetimes, and the quiet, shimmering stars above. And for the first time, Kieran understood the truth of what he had always felt, even before he knew Lyra's name. Some bonds are older than memory, deeper than space, and brighter than the stars themselves. The morning light fell gently over Alaris, painting the palace gardens in shades of gold and green. Kieran woke to the soft hum of the planet itself. It was a quiet sound, almost like breathing, and he felt it wrap around him as he stepped onto the balcony. Lyra was already there, standing with her hands resting lightly on the railing, her silver hair catching the sunlight. "Good morning," she said, her voice soft but steady. She turned and smiled at him, and Kieran noticed a small warmth in her eyes, like sunlight trapped in glass. "Good morning," he replied. He had spent the night thinking about the strange pull that had led him here, about the dreams and memories that felt like pieces of a puzzle he could not yet see fully. I keep thinking about that name. How did you know me?" "Why did my name mean so much to you?" Lyra hesitated. Her gaze drifted toward the distant hills, where the palace walls met the forests. "I don't know," she admitted. "I remember fragments. Moments that feel familiar, but I cannot place them. I see flashes of you in my dreams, standing beside me, helping me. But it is like a story written in a language I half forget, and yet, when I heard your name, I could not stop myself from crying." Kieran listened, his heart beating faster. There was something about her words that made him certain of one thing. Their connection was real. It was not coincidence or imagination. Something tied them together across worlds and time, though he did not yet know what. "I think we need to explore," Kieran said finally. "Maybe the answers are somewhere on this planet. Perhaps the place itself remembers us." Lyra's eyes widened. "You feel it too?" "Yes," Kieran said. "The planet, it is alive in a way."
"I have felt it since I landed. It draws me forward."
She nodded, a mixture of relief and excitement in her expression. "Then, come, I will show you the oldest parts of Alaris. Perhaps there we will understand more." They walked through the palace halls, and Kieran noticed the intricate designs carved into the walls, symbols of stars, planets, and strange creatures that glowed faintly when the sunlight touched them. Lyra explained that the carvings told the history of Alaris, not just the past, but the future as well, as the people believed that the universe guided them. They reached a wide hall filled with artifacts from centuries past. Kieran marveled at the objects, crystals that hummed when touched, paintings that shifted their colors like the sky at dusk, and small sculptures that seemed to move ever so slightly when observed from different angles. "Everything here feels alive," Kieran said softly. Lyra nodded. "Alaris is alive. We do not dominate it. We live in harmony with it. And sometimes the planet remembers what we forget." As they moved deeper into the hall, Lyra paused before a small pedestal with a clear glass dome. Inside lay a tiny device no larger than Kieran's hand, with delicate filaments that glowed faintly. "This," Lyra said, her voice barely audible, "is the device." Kieran leaned closer. "The device?"
"What does it do?" Lyra hesitated. "It is a bridge."
"A bridge between minds, between worlds. It allows understanding, trust, and communication beyond language. Long ago, someone had to guard it, someone who understood its importance. And I was chosen. But you were always connected to it too. I only see now that you were part of this before you even knew it." Kieran's mind swirled. "I don't understand. How could I have been connected before I came here?" Lyra looked at him with a mixture of wonder and sorrow. Some bonds are older than memory. Perhaps in another life, another time, you and I worked together to protect this device. Perhaps your journey across the stars was meant to bring you back here. Kieran ran his fingers along the edge of the glass dome, feeling the soft vibration of energy beneath it. It feels alive, almost like it recognizes me. Yes, Lyra said. It responds only to those who are meant to find it. I have always felt its presence in my dreams, and now, here you are. The secret is not just ours. It is the planet's, the device's. We were chosen to protect it and to understand it.
They spent the day walking through the forests of Alaris, the air filled with the soft hum of life.
Strange flowers glowed with every step they took, and the trees seemed to lean slightly toward them, as if acknowledging their presence. Kieran could feel the planet guiding them, leading them to places he did not yet understand. As they walked, Lyra told him stories of her childhood, of the lessons her people had learned from the stars. She spoke of harmony, of listening to the universe, and of protecting what was precious, not with force, but with care and wisdom. Kieran listened, fascinated. He realized that humanity had much to learn from civilizations like Alaris, and perhaps the device was a way to help bridge the knowledge of different worlds. The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, and Lyra led Kieran to a small hill overlooking a crystalline lake. The water mirrored the colors of the sky, and the air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers. This place, Lyra said softly, is where the memories come strongest. When I was a child, I would come here to dream, to listen to the planet. Sometimes I would see flashes of you, standing beside me, but I could never understand why. Until now. Kieran felt a warmth spread through him. He did not need explanations. He could feel the truth of her words. I think we were always meant to find this together, he said. Lyra nodded.
Yes.
And now that you are here, we can begin to remember, to understand. The device will guide us, but we must be patient. It will not reveal all its secrets at once. They sat by the lake as night fell, the twin moons rising above them, casting silver light on the water. The planet seemed to hum beneath their feet, and Kieran felt a deep sense of peace. For years he had traveled alone, searching for purpose. But here he felt it. The quiet certainty that he was part of something greater. Do you remember anything? Kieran asked gently, looking at Lyra. She shook her head. Not fully, only pieces. A touch, a word, a feeling. But the rest will come when the time is right. And perhaps the journey will help us remember more than the memories alone ever could.
Kieran smiled. Then let's begin this journey.
Together. Lyra reached out, taking his hand. The connection between them was subtle, yet undeniable. They could feel each other's thoughts in fragments, a silent understanding that needed no words. It was a bond older than memory, yet as fresh and new as the first light of dawn. Over the next few days, Kieran and Lyra explored more of Alaris. They visited the floating gardens where plants hovered in the air, moving gracefully as if dancing to a song only they could hear. They walked along rivers of liquid light where the water shimmered with colors that shifted with their moods. And in every place, Kieran felt the presence of the device guiding them, whispering through the air, urging them to discover the truth. One evening, as they rested beneath a grove of silver-barked trees, Kieran spoke quietly. Lyra, do you think humans and your people could understand each other? Truly understand? The device? Could it help with that? Lyra considered this, her eyes reflecting the starlight above.
I believe so, but understanding requires patience, trust, and care.
We cannot force it. We must show it through our actions, our choices, and our willingness to listen. The device is a tool, but it is not magic. It only amplifies what is already in our hearts.
Kieran nodded. Then we will need to be patient and careful.
I want to understand. I want to help. Lyra smiled, a gentle, radiant smile that lit the grove. Then we will learn together. Perhaps in doing so, we will remember why we were brought together and why this secret between us matters. That night, as they returned to the palace, Kieran felt the planet settle around them like a protective embrace. The twin moons glowed softly in the sky, and he realized that he was beginning to remember fragments, feelings, glimpses of a past he could not fully name. And though the memories were incomplete, they carried the certainty of purpose. Lyra walked beside him, her hand brushing lightly against his. "We are on the right path," she said softly. "The secret is waking, and soon it will guide us further than we can imagine." Kieran looked at her, feeling a surge of hope and excitement. For the first time, the vastness of the universe did not feel lonely or empty. There was a connection, a purpose, and a bond that transcended distance and time. Together they entered the palace, unaware of how the journey ahead would test their understanding, their patience, and their trust. But for now they had each other, the device and the gentle guidance of a world that remembered them long before they remembered themselves. And in the quiet of the night, as the palace hummed softly around them, Kieran knew one thing with certainty. Some secrets are not meant to be feared. They are meant to be discovered, nurtured, and shared. One moment at a time, the device rested quietly in its glass dome, its faint glow pulsing in rhythm with the planet's heartbeat. Kieran and Lyra had not yet unlocked its full potential, but they could feel its power awakening, responding to their presence, their bond, and the promise of the secret they were meant to uncover. It was only the beginning. But already Kieran felt the promise of a future brighter than any star he had ever seen. And with Lyra beside him, he knew that together they could face the mysteries of the universe, not as strangers, but as partners, as friends, as guardians of a secret older than time itself. The morning sun rose over Alaris, spilling gold across the floating gardens and crystalline rivers. Kieran stood at the palace balcony, feeling the soft hum of the planet beneath his feet. Today, Lyra had promised, they would begin the journey to understand the device, not just to touch it or study it, but to awaken it fully, to understand what it meant and why they were connected to it. Lyra met him at the palace gates, her silver hair catching the sunlight like a halo. She smiled, a mixture of excitement and calm certainty. "Are you ready?" she asked.
"I've never been more ready for anything in my life,"
Kieran replied, and he could feel the truth in it. The bond between them had grown stronger with each passing day. Words were often unnecessary. They understood each other in subtle glances, in small gestures, in the rhythm of their steps as they walked together. Their first stop was the Forest of Crystals, a vast place where trees shimmered like glass and leaves rang softly when brushed by the wind. The forest was alive with gentle energy. Kieran reached out and touched one of the crystal trees, and it responded, glowing brighter under his fingers. He looked at Lyra in wonder. "This forest," he said softly. "It's like it knows us." Lyra nodded. "Everything here remembers, not just the planet, but us, our bond, our purpose. This forest is older than the palace. It has watched over Alaris for centuries.
And now it will guide us to the device."
As they walked, Kieran began to notice the small signs Lyra had spoken of. Tiny lights flickered along the paths like fireflies, but when he tried to touch them, they danced just out of reach. He realized the planet was testing them, guiding them in subtle ways, preparing them for what they would discover. They arrived at a clearing where a small stream ran with water that reflected the colors of the sky, shifting from pink to gold to silver as the sun moved. In the center of the clearing was a large stone arch, covered in intricate carvings. Symbols of stars, planets, and creatures like no earth animal Kieran had seen adorned the arch.
"This is the Gate of Memories," Lyra explained. "It is said that only those who are meant to find the device can pass through it."
"It requires more than knowledge. It requires trust, understanding, and harmony with the planet. Kieran stepped forward, slowly. The moment he crossed the threshold, he felt a warmth spread through him, a gentle vibration that seemed to resonate with the deepest parts of his mind. Lyra joined him, and as they walked together under the arch, he realized that their connection was mirrored by the world around them. Every movement, every thought, seemed to echo softly in the air, as if the planet itself was responding to their bond. Beyond the arch, the landscape opened into a breathtaking valley. Rivers of liquid light twisted through fields of glowing flowers, and mountains rose in the distance, their peaks floating in the sky like islands of stone. Kieran's breath caught. He had seen wonders in his travels, but this was something entirely different. Here, the beauty of Alaris was not just visual. It was alive, and it spoke to him in a way he could feel, but not name. They followed a path along one of the glowing rivers, and soon they came upon a large cave entrance. Strange symbols marked the stones, and soft light glowed from within. "This is the Cavern of Echoes," Lyra said. "The device lies beyond, but it will only reveal itself to those who are ready." Inside, the cavern was vast and filled with shimmering walls that reflected light like a million tiny stars. Kieran felt a tingling in his fingers as they brushed against the smooth surface. The air hummed with energy, and he realized that it responded not just to their touch, but to their thoughts, their feelings, their presence together. Lyra led him deeper into the cavern, stopping occasionally to trace patterns on the walls. Each time she did, the walls glowed brighter, revealing hidden symbols and shapes that seemed to tell a story. Kieran followed her, feeling as if he were reading a book written not in words, but in energy, in light, in memory. Finally, they reached a chamber at the heart of the cavern. The device rested on a stone pedestal, glowing softly, as if it had been waiting for them. Kieran approached cautiously. The device was delicate, with filaments of light that pulsed gently. He reached out, and as his fingers brushed its surface, the device responded, glowing brighter and humming softly. Lyra joined him, placing her hand over his. Instantly, a wave of memories and feelings washed over them. Kieran saw flashes of a past he had never lived, yet somehow remembered. Himself and Lyra working together, traveling across Alaris, protecting the device, and learning from the planet. Lyra saw the same memories, mirrored through her own mind. "It remembers us," Lyra whispered. "It knows who we are." Kieran nodded, overwhelmed by the sensation. I can feel everything. The planet, you, the device, it's all connected." "Yes," Lyra said. "And now we must learn from it. It will teach us how to use it, how to share understanding between worlds, but only if we remain patient and trust in our bond." They spent hours in the chamber exploring the device's gentle pulses and vibrations. Slowly, fragments of the past became clearer. They remembered teaching each other, laughing, solving puzzles together, and learning how to communicate with the planet. Every memory strengthened their bond, and Kieran realized that this was more than just exploration. It was a reunion, a rediscovery of something they had both lost long ago. As they worked, Kieran began to understand the device's purpose. It was not just a tool for communication. It was a bridge of understanding. It amplified empathy, knowledge, and trust. Through it, humans and Alaris's people could learn from each other, share wisdom, and connect in ways that words alone could never achieve. Lyra looked at him, her eyes glowing softly with emotion. "We were chosen not just to protect it, but to awaken it. And now, we are ready." Kieran smiled. "Then let's do it together." They placed their hands fully on the device, and a wave of light expanded from it, filling the chamber with warmth and color. The cavern walls reflected the light, creating patterns that seemed to dance to a rhythm only they could hear. The device pulsed in response to their combined presence, responding to their trust, their understanding, and their shared bond. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Kieran felt the universe around him, not as empty space, but as a web of connections, all tied together through understanding and empathy. Lyra felt the same, and they realized that their secret, the bond they shared, was the key to unlocking the device's true power. When the light faded, they looked at each other, smiling. No words were necessary. They had discovered not just the device's potential, but the depth of their connection. The secret between them was no longer a mystery. It was a living bond, a bridge between their hearts, and a guide for the journey ahead. As they left the cavern, Kieran felt a new sense of purpose. He had traveled across the stars seeking meaning, but he had found it. Here, on Alaris, with Lyra. The device would help connect their worlds, but the true power lay in their shared understanding, their trust, and the quiet bond that had survived across time and memory. They walked along the glowing river outside the cavern, the twin moons rising above them. Kieran glanced at Lyra. "Do you think humanity is ready for this? To understand your people?" Lyra smiled softly. "Some are, but even if not everyone is ready, the device will guide us. It does not force understanding. It nurtures it. And with patience, humans and Alaris's people will learn from each other." Kieran nodded, feeling the weight and the beauty of the responsibility they shared. "Ben, we have work to do, and I can't think of anyone I'd rather do it with." Lyra reached out, taking his hand again. "Nor I. Together, we can awaken not just the device, but the understanding between our worlds. And perhaps we will finally remember all that we once were, and all we can be again." The night grew deeper, the stars shimmering above, and the rivers of light flowed on endlessly. Kieran felt the pulse of Alaris beneath him, and for the first time, he understood the truth of Lyra's words. The planet, the device, and their shared bond were alive, waiting for them to guide it with care, patience, and understanding. As they returned to the palace, Kieran felt a sense of completion, yet also anticipation. They had unlocked part of the secret, but the journey was far from over. The device had responded to them. But the universe held many more lessons, many more wonders to discover. And through it all, he knew that Lyra's presence was the anchor, the constant reminder of the bond that had always existed between them. Inside the palace, they stood by the window, watching the rivers of light below. Lyra rested her head on Kieran's shoulder. "The device is awake," she whispered. "And so are we." Kieran nodded, feeling a surge of hope and certainty. "Then let's continue this journey," he said, "together." Outside, the twin moons cast their gentle glow over Alaris, reflecting on the rivers and forests, and the planet seemed to hum softly in approval. Kieran and Lyra had awakened the device, deepened their bond, and begun a journey that would unite worlds, awaken memories, and reveal secrets older than time itself. And in the quiet of the night, as the palace hummed softly around them, they understood one thing with clarity. Some connections are meant to guide, to protect, and to illuminate, and theirs, stronger than any star, deeper than any ocean, was ready to shape the future of both their worlds. The morning on Alaris was quiet, yet alive with energy. Kieran stood at the palace balcony, looking out over the glowing forests and rivers of light. The planet seemed to pulse beneath him, gentle yet powerful, as if it were breathing with anticipation. Today, Lyra had told him, was the day they would complete their journey, not just to understand the device, but to awaken its full purpose, and with it, unite their worlds. Lyra joined him, carrying a small crystal orb in her hands. Its light shifted in response to her touch, and Kieran realized it was a key of sorts, a guide to the device's final power. She held it out to him. "Are you ready, Kieran?" she asked, her silver hair catching the sun. "I've never been more ready," he replied. Over the past days, he had felt their bond grow stronger, had seen glimpses of their past lives together, and understood more than ever the importance of the device. It was not just a tool, it was a bridge, a promise of connection, and he was ready to honor it. Together they made their way to the Cavern of Echoes, the place where the device waited. The cavern's entrance shimmered, as if it recognized them, welcoming them back with a gentle warmth. Inside, the walls glowed softly, reflecting their presence in colors that shifted with their emotions. Every step they took echoed like a heartbeat, and Kieran realized that the planet itself was guiding them to the device's final awakening. At the heart of the cavern, the device rested on its pedestal, glowing faintly as if it had been waiting for this moment. Kieran approached it cautiously, feeling the familiar hum of energy that resonated with his own heartbeat. Lyra joined him, placing her hand on his, and together they reached toward the device. The moment their fingers touched its surface, a wave of light and energy flowed through them. Kieran saw flashes of memory, himself and Lyra traveling across Alaris in another life, protecting the device, learning from the planet, and guiding each other. He saw the faces of the Alarian people, their wisdom and patience, their trust in the bond between the device and its guardians. Lyra felt the same visions mirrored in her mind, and they understood with clarity that their connection was not a coincidence. It was a destiny shared across time and space. The device pulsed brighter, responding to their unity. Kieran and Lyra placed their hands fully upon it, their bond resonating with its energy. Soft musical vibrations filled the chamber, and the walls reflected not just light, but the patterns of thought and feeling, the memories, hopes, and dreams of both humans and Alaris's people. The device was awakening not just to their presence, but to their understanding. "Ooh, you feel it too, don't you?" Lyra whispered. "Yes," Kieran replied, his voice filled with wonder. "It's like the universe is alive, and it's listening to us." Lyra nodded. "It has always listened. We just had to remember how to speak to it, to guide it with care and understanding." The light from the device expanded, filling the chamber with a warm golden glow. Kieran and Lyra felt it enveloping them, connecting their minds in a way that was gentle, intimate, and profound. They did not need words. They could sense each other's thoughts, feelings, and intentions. The device responded to their unity, amplifying their empathy, trust, and understanding. And then, as if answering an unspoken question, the device extended its energy outward. The light spread beyond the cavern, across the forests, rivers, and mountains of Alaris, touching the distant cities and villages. Kieran realized with awe that the device was sending its message to the people of Alaris, connecting them to the bond he and Lyra shared. It was showing the planet what they had discovered, that understanding, trust, and unity were the true power of the device. Lyra looked at him, her eyes bright with emotion.
"This is it, Kieran. The secret between us."
"It is not just a bond. It is a bridge. We were chosen to awaken it, and now it will guide others, across worlds, across time." Kieran smiled, feeling a surge of joy and purpose. "Then let's see it through." Together, the device pulsed once more, and the chamber filled with visions of distant stars and planets. Kieran saw humans reaching out to alien civilizations, sharing knowledge, stories, and wisdom. He saw Alaris's people responding, learning, and forming connections that transcended language and distance. The device did not force understanding. It nurtured it, making empathy and trust visible to all who were willing to receive it. Lyra's hand squeezed his. "This is what we were meant to do, not just for us, but for everyone. And now the worlds can see what we have always known." Kieran felt a warmth in his chest, the kind that comes from belonging, from being part of something greater than oneself. He had spent years traveling the stars, seeking purpose, and now he had found it. Not in adventure or discovery alone, but in connection, understanding, and shared trust. The device's light gradually softened, returning to its gentle glow. Kieran and Lyra removed their hands, and the chamber hummed quietly. Alive but calm, they looked at each other, smiles spreading across their faces. "We did it," Kieran said softly.
"Yes," Lyra replied, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the device. "And this is only the beginning."
The device will continue to guide, but it will need guardians. And we are those guardians. As they left the cavern, Kieran felt the planet's energy wrap around them, a soft, protective embrace. The rivers of light below shimmered, and the forest seemed to sway in quiet approval. He realized that Alaris itself had been waiting for this moment, guiding them to awaken the device and reveal its purpose. Outside, the twin moons reflected on the lakes and rivers, casting silver light over the landscape. Kieran and Lyra walked hand in hand through the glowing fields, feeling a deep sense of peace. The secret between them was no longer hidden. It was alive, radiant, and shared. They had remembered, and the planet had remembered with them. Lyra paused beside a small grove, looking up at the sky. "Kieran, do you think humans are ready for this? To connect, to understand, to trust?" Kieran thought for a moment. Some will be, not all, but enough. And those who are ready, they will help others. The device will guide them just as it guided us. Lyra smiled, a quiet, radiant smile. "Then our work is just beginning. But I am glad it is with you, and I with you," Kieran replied. "I have wandered the stars for so long, but I have never felt at home until now. Not until I found you, and this planet, and the secret we share." They stood together in the grove, watching the rivers of light flow through the fields. The device rested quietly in the palace, its soft glow a reminder of their journey, their bond, and the promise of understanding it held. Kieran felt a surge of hope. The universe was vast, full of mysteries and challenges, but now he knew that connection, trust, and empathy could bridge any distance. In the days that followed, Kieran and Lyra shared the lessons of the device with the people of Alaris. They did not force understanding. They nurtured it. Humans who arrived on the planet were guided gently, learning from the Alarian people and from the device. Communication, once impossible, became natural. Differences in language, culture, and thought were bridged by empathy, patience, and trust. Kieran marveled at the changes. He had never imagined that the universe could feel so alive, so responsive, and yet here it was, full of wonder, understanding, and connection. Lyra's presence made it all the more meaningful. Together they guided, taught, and learned, their bond growing stronger every day. One evening, as the twin moons rose high in the sky, Kieran and Lyra returned to the palace balcony. The planet below shimmered with gentle light, forests glowing softly, rivers reflecting the moons. Kieran looked at Lyra, feeling a quiet joy and certainty. "We did it," he said.
Not just for us, but for everyone. The worlds, they can begin to understand each other."
Lyra nodded. "And they will." The secret was never just ours. It was meant to be shared, nurtured, and remembered, and now it will be. Kieran took her hand, feeling the pulse of the planet beneath their feet, the quiet hum of the device in the palace, and the gentle rhythm of their shared hearts. "Then we have everything we need. Together we can guide this, protect it, and see where it leads." Lyra smiled, leaning slightly against him. Yes, together. Always together. And as they stood under the silver light of the twin moons, the planet around them seemed to hum in quiet approval. The rivers of light shimmered, the forests glowed softly, and the device pulsed gently, alive with the promise of understanding, connection, and hope. Kieran realized that some secrets were never meant to remain hidden. They were meant to be discovered, shared, and nurtured. And some bonds, stronger than any star, deeper than any ocean, were meant to guide the universe toward a brighter, gentler future. He looked at Lyra, feeling the certainty of their shared purpose. The secret between them was no longer a mystery, no longer a weight to bear. It was a gift, a bridge, and a promise that humans and Alaris's people, together, could learn, grow, and understand each other. The stars above twinkled softly, and Kieran knew that the universe was listening. And with Lyra beside him, he knew that they were ready. Ready to guide it, ready to protect it, and ready to see where the bond, the secret, and the device would lead next. And so, hand in hand, Kieran and Lyra looked out over their world, the rivers of light flowing endlessly below, the twin moons shining above, and the device glowing gently behind them. They had awakened the secret. They had discovered the bond. And together they would carry it forward, across stars, across worlds, and across time itself. The future was not just bright, it was alive.